Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Case. I'm the host of the show, and welcome, welcome, welcome. And before we dive in, I'd like you, since you're here, if you're visiting, if you're new, and if you're not new, I would encourage you, please, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button and subscribe button. Share this. Let people know we're here. Tell everybody about it. We've got a live YouTube channel. We're here on E360 TV. And that's an app or a .com, so you can go to either place there. But I welcome you to the show. I'm excited about this conversation today and a little nervous about it. I got to be honest. I think I've wanted to do this for a while. And let's talk about God. That's really where it's at today. I really want to talk about God. And I'm going to try to do this in layers because in my experience, there's so much to unravel in this idea and concept of God. And there's a reason for me why I choose to call it God, call this energy God, call this experience God. There are lots of other options. There's the universe, there's all that is. There's lots of places in the spiritual community where the idea of unidentifying with the concept of God in its traditional sense has led to other possibilities. So the other thing that I would say about this is I have a very unique perspective of God, and the interesting part of that is we all do, whether we're aware of it or not. And I want to share my perspective. I want to talk about my perspective because I think it can help a lot of people, but I also think it brings a different perspective and engagement to that whole experience that I think is valuable, that I think will help and has helped me to just explode my life in ways that I never even imagined, in ways of connecting to joy and connecting to happiness and connecting to intuition and connecting to all the things that juice up the life experience, all the things, the experiences that help to unfold the incredible magic that exists on this planet for us. So we're going to have a great conversation. I'm really excited to have this conversation, and I'm going to go, hopefully, in a pretty methodical way so that, but you never know here because sometimes I just get inspired and go with things. But at this point, we're going to dive through. I'm going to do a little excerpt from the book because I have a whole chapter dedicated to what is your relationship with God. And we're going to dive in. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. So I'm really glad you're here, and I'm glad you're here to participate. If you would like to ask questions or talk to me during the show, go to Adventures in Truth Facebook page. And in the live window, in the comments, you can type whatever you like. It comes right to me in the studio. And I'll show it, we'll talk about it, and we can engage in that fashion, and I'd love to do that. So we'll be right back right after this. Again, welcome to the show, and I'll see you on the other side. All right. As we begin this day, I have to look at my things here. Here we go. I lose track sometimes, and then I can't see it because it's a little further away than I'm used to. But I want to start here with Fears of Choice. As I mentioned, our topic today, let's talk about God. God infuses so much of my life because I believe I am that. And I don't mean that from any kind of egotistical perspective at all, actually. It's more of a relationship experience, an energetic relationship. But this book came about because of that relationship. And my desire and my clarity and understanding that when you change your relationship with fear, it changes everything. And that's the main message that I feel is important as I understand God in relation to me and in relation to how I operate in the world. So, Fear is a Choice, unraveling the illusion of our separation from love, speaks directly to that relationship. And I encourage you, www.fearisachoicebook.com. The website is great. There's information about the book. There's a couple videos. There's more description. There's testimonials. And more importantly, there are links to order the book directly to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Audible, and hopefully going to be coming out here shortly in the next, hopefully, few months with the audio book. So www.fearisachoicebook.com. Check it out. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you've ordered the book, if you have the book, thank you for buying the book. Thank you for reading the book. Thank you for commenting on the book. Please go to wherever you purchased it and leave a review. Let people know what your experience is so more people can avail themselves. You know, particularly in the Amazon environment, the more reviews we get, the more attention it gets. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate your interest. And I look forward to talking to you about it very soon. We'll be right back. All right. Second step. Here it is. My world is good. This is the year of conscious creation. While it is a self-determined year of conscious creation, I'm making it true all over the place. I believe that it is imperative for us to become conscious creators. I believe that it is important that we become aware of how powerful our ability to create is. And I also think it's important to understand that all of that is about God. We're going to get into that more afterwards. But here's the deal. I've observed, as you've probably observed, a lot of craziness in the world, particularly over the last 4 or 5 years. But I mean, who can limit it to that? It just got more intense over that time. But this movement is all about what I observed, which is a few people having a very negative focus created a very powerful impact on the consciousness of our world, of our country, and of our planet. And it rippled, and it continued to ripple. And I said, wait a second, if that can happen, then why can't the opposite happen? What can I do to make a change? What can I do personally, this individual who doesn't live in Washington, who doesn't necessarily do politics, but wants to add something to this conversation? And since it's all about energy, since we are all about energy, then I thought, why not create an energetic momentum? Why not create this connected space that moves us forward? I see us as 7.5 billion unique sparks. I see us as 7.5 billion, 8 billion worlds occupying one planet. And that's an important distinction because you create your reality. I create my reality. I create the world I experience. What I see in the world around me is a direct reflection of my perception of the world around me. So I can use that perception to understand my beliefs, to understand my thoughts, to understand my emotions, because they are coming from me. It is this energy outsourcing, outpicturing, and reflecting back to me so that I can make change, so that I can expand, so that I can grow, so that I can be more of what God intended. My world is good, allows for us to come together, these unique worlds, all populating this planet. We pull one energy, this neutral positive energy. My world is good. My world is good. And I share that and I open my heart with that. And as you do it, your heart opens with that. And as you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it, we create an incredible momentum together. We create an incredible power. And that power has the ability to change the mass consciousness, to shift our perception of the world and begin to influence through energy, through emotion, through thought, the events that are occurring. And I believe that that is happening in the world now, the more of us that do this. So share this, talk about this. It doesn't require anything specific of you. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter. I don't care if you're a Biden supporter. I don't care if you don't support any of them. I don't care if your God is a Nubian princess that lives on planet Zuni. I don't care. What I care about is us living together on this planet and creating a momentum of love and joy and goodness that we all begin to see and experience on a regular basis. And not this bullshit and nonsense that we've given over to in fear. It's enough. My world is good. My world is good. Say it 10 times when you wake up in the morning, 10 times before you go to bed, and any time you think about it throughout the day. And watch what changes in your own perception within the construct of your own world. But then begin to notice as you fill in that energy and we all begin to come together that we create this amazing tipping point. And that tipping point is to goodness. So I encourage you, my world is good. It's not hard. You don't have to be anybody special. You don't have to be anybody not special. You just have to be you. All of you in your glory. My world is good because goodness is universal. You don't have to clarify it. You don't have to define it. You just experience it and then allow for the universe, for God to reflect back to you that goodness. What an amazing and joyous experience that is. My world is good. Join the movement. Jump in with us. We'd love to have you on. And I'll be back right after this, and we're going to kick off the show. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, here we are. I have to stop because someone has visited. I want to see who's visiting and say hi. And to Tamar, hi Tamar. I love you right back. And I was thinking about you today. We gotta connect again shortly. But here we are, and I want to talk about God. So let's talk about it. Here's the thing. Ultimately, I don't care what you call it. I like calling God God. I like calling that energy God, that experience of something greater than this human thing sitting here. It's an experience for me that I've been very fortunate in my whole life to have that relationship. It's led down some interesting paths, but having that relationship has been something that's fueled my life since as long as I can remember. When I was standing outside my parents' home at 16 years old, making the decision to walk away from their home forever. And literally, I never went back. Went back to live with them and move with them. Over the years, of course, relationships heal and we all grow. But here's the thing. That relationship continually reinforced the expansion of me, the little me, the human me. It always took me to a greater place, a more expanded place, a more positive place. And I never really grasped that early on. I just knew that I had this dynamic going on with God because I came up as a Catholic. I was brought up in religion. I was brought up in church. So I had all of that. But the interesting thing is that over time, I found that I couldn't abide the focus of the religious aspect because it was limited, because it was negative, because it was angry, because it was a lot of things that were about dictating who I am. And when I got to the point in my life, actually, there was a point in my life when I was this far. Actually, I wasn't even this far. I was this far meaning like less than a pinch away from becoming a priest. And that experience informed a lot for me because given that I left home early, I dropped out of high school. I didn't get a degree or whatever that is. The word escapes me right now, but I did go back and get a GED because I went to visit my best friend when she was in college, and I went to see her and fell in love with the school and thought, this is a place I need to be. I need to experience this. And it happened to be a private Catholic college. It was coincidental only. I went to that school. I lived in the seminary for 6 months. And they were absolutely amazing. And there were parts of it that were actually breathtaking, having that communion and connection with God in the way that I could see it and feel it that resonated for me. The unfortunate thing was being a gay man, that changed my life a little bit because what I found out was I could be in that environment, but I'd have to stop being me to be in that environment. And that created a huge conflict for me, obviously. But that conflict ended with a half a bottle, a large half bottle of aspirin and a beer in an attempt to kill myself because I couldn't rectify how God could possibly not want me as a part of that environment. And conversely, the frustration of wanting to express this relationship and finding that the main vehicle for expressing it wasn't available to me in the way that I felt comfortable, in the way that I felt I could show up. And so that time changed me because it really sent me on a trajectory because it didn't alter my relationship with God that I already had. It altered my perception that I had of what God is. It altered my perception of what God is. And so for me, that relationship has evolved over my lifetime in miraculous and amazing ways. And many will say that this is a testimonial because that's a somewhat religious construct of God, that this is a testimonial. And maybe it is. I don't know. But for me, it's a testimonial about me. It's a testimonial about my relationship with the higher part of myself. It is a relationship with the energy that animates this thing that's here now. It is that relationship. So in talking about God, I think it's really important to consider all the elements of your relationship. And I think the foundation of that relationship has to be in self-awareness. And I'm going to get into that right after we take this short break to focus, because now that we've dived into this concept a little bit, I want us to get together on our energy. It doesn't mean we have to agree. It doesn't mean you have to like what I'm saying, but I want to harmonize the field here so that the questions you may have, the thoughts that we're all having that I can talk about, that we can share together. So we're going to take a moment here and we're going to take a minute to focus. And I do this for a number of reasons. One, first and foremost, is putting my money where my mouth is. I talk about daily practice every time, every day, all the time. I talk about breath all the time, and I do it all the time. I mean, not just regular breathing, but focused breathing. Because what I know is working with the breath trains us and teaches us how to manage our energy, because we have to get intimately in touch. And that's all about self-awareness. So what I want you to do right now is just settle in where you are. Take a deep breath. Your breath is going to be in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Just continuously, not pressure, not forced, just in through the nose, out through the mouth. Excuse me. And as you settle into that breath pattern, I just want you to relax into your body, into the space that you're in at this moment. Let your eyes rest. Close your eyes if you can. If you're driving, obviously, don't close your eyes. And just feel that breath. Feel the focus of your breath. And as you inhale through the nose and exhale from the mouth, become aware of your body. I want you to begin and build a relationship in self-awareness. And part of that is getting into relationship with what this all is, what this is all about, right? So as you're in this deep space now, as it's deepening, because as you breathe, as you inhale through the nose and exhale from the mouth, you're exchanging old energy and new energy. You're opening up your system. You're settling yourself down. And I want you to become aware in this moment as you're doing that. Focus your awareness into your heart space where the breath is unfolding. And now become aware of the field that surrounds you, the energy that surrounds all of you in every direction. It's huge. Your field is enormous. I want you to become aware of it. And I want you to just simply become aware of it. You don't have to see it in any particular way. Some people feel it. Some people see it. Some people intuit it. Some people experience it. It doesn't matter how you experience it. Just allow for the experience. I want you to become aware of your field, your energy, your energy. And as you become aware of your energy, I want you to become aware of the complexity of it, meaning There are places throughout your field where you can see distortion, or you can see a densifying of the field. You can see clumps. You can see different things in your field because we are attending to things all the time. Our consciousness is in constant attention to all of the influences that are moving in and out of our field and the influences we are adding to that field, right? But just become aware of all the ways that your energy is engaged, because some of those things take away your energy. Some of those things are pulling your life force because they're rooted in fear, or they're rooted in pain, or they're rooted in suffering. And that's just simply because it's not been attended to, it's not been released, it's not been expressed, whatever the case may be. So what we're going to do right now is, as you're still continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, I want you to take that field and I want you to bring it into your body, into this heart space. I want you to command it into the heart. I want you to feel that incredible warmth and tingling as you bring that field into the heart space. And being aware of the magnificence of this energy that you are. And allow that to start to move around. I want you to take this consciousness inside your body. I want you to experience you from the inside. So let's let that consciousness that you're deeply connected to, as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, feeling, experiencing in whatever way you do, as you let that energy travel up through your neck and into your head, and have an experience of your own, behind your own eyes and your own sinuses and your mouth and your throat, and get up in your brain. Travel around in that big cavity there and explore this magnificent organ in the brain. Touch the pituitary. Reach through and travel through the brain, down the brainstem, come to that spinal cord, that magnificent, incredible piece of our anatomy that's wrapped in a beautiful fluid surrounded by bone to protect it as the nerves emanate. So all of this energy that comes through the brain, down through the spine, is emanating through your entire body, through your nervous system, through your organs. And as you're in that torso, feel around in there, feel all of that incredible, the organs in your body, where they are, how they feel, the muscles, the blood vessels, the nerves, the cells, all of it. Let that consciousness flow out your arms and down your legs. And if you happen to notice a moment of discomfort somewhere, just focus your awareness to it. Breathe into it through the nose and out from the mouth, and watch it expand and watch the energy move and dissipate, and just focus your breath there. And notice that you can create change in your own field just by your focus, just by your attention. And now, bring all that awareness back into your heart space. Bring all that focus back into your heart space. Bring it right back here. And now, focusing in the breath, I want you to feel all of that breath as you inhale through the nose and exhale from the mouth. We're going to breathe in a counted fashion now. We're going to inhale to a count of 4. We're going to rest at the top. We're going to exhale to a count of 6, and then we're going to rest at the bottom. So here we go. As you inhale, feeling full, inhaling 2, 3, 4, filling all the way up, and then rest. Let the shoulders go, let the neck go. Just relax and rest into that experience. And then consciously choose to surrender it. Let it go. Let it go. Breathe it out through the mouth to a count of 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then rest in the emptiness. Rest in that position of receptivity, emptiness, ready, an empty vessel. And now engage the lungs and inhale 2, 3, 4, feeling full, feeling powerful, feeling relaxed. And now letting it all go as you release from the mouth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now you're resting in the emptiness, in the void, being ready for what's next. Engaging the lungs as you inhale. Continue this rhythm on your own, feeling full. Taking all of that energy, that prana, that life force, that chi as you reach the top. Feel the incredible fullness. And then choose to surrender it right here, right now. This is a microcosm of the incredible experience, creating and surrendering, Let all of that air go through the mouth. Rest at the bottom. Prepare yourself to receive by relaxing into a state of receptivity. Continuing as you breathe, excuse me, and continue that pattern on your own for a moment. And take in these words. I use this every time I do the meditation because I want us to connect as deeply and powerfully as possible to the essence of who we are. As you're breathing, continuing in that process, take in these words. I am the evolution of God realized as matter. I inform and guide that expression as the pure expression of God. I show up as God. I connect as God. I align as God. I am creation realized. And from that, I create, I expand, and I engage. I am. Feel that deeply and powerfully. And this is a really good place to start our conversation about God. But right now, continuing to breathe, now I want you to consciously release your field that you've been holding here. Release it, let it go. And notice how magnificent it is. Feel it as it expands out. Feel that rush as you feel your field begin to move out into the world again. And look at the glisten in it. Look at the power and the light in it from the little bit of breath you brought to it, from that new prana and chi and life force. Look at it, experience it. And bring your awareness, when you're ready, back to our conversation as we continue our conversation about God. So that piece that I do at the end there about reinforcing God, this is all about building a relationship and self-awareness. Why do I say this? Well, self-awareness, if you are not self-aware, then you build a relationship with God based on separation. You build a relationship with God based on he's over there, I'm over here, he's good, I'm mediocre, sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not. He's going to forgive me, I may or may not. He's going to exercise his wrath when I'm being inappropriate as a human being. He's going to do all of that. But it is between this wide gulf between you being human and God being God. I think that's lunacy. I'll be straight up about it. To me, everyone has to be where they are. Everyone must experience the world the way they experience the world. That's the beauty of this incredible experience. We all get to do it however we do it. My desire here is not to shame, is not to blame, is not to do any of that. It's just to provide an alternative perspective that might help you catapult your experience beyond where you are. Maybe you're stuck. Maybe you need movement. Maybe you're confused. Maybe you're not any of those things. Maybe you're just curious. But my desire is to create an awareness in you that begins to build that relationship with the greatest part of yourself, the largest part of yourself. That larger part of yourself, as I understand it, as I experience it in my life, is God. It is my higher self. It is the spark of the divine that animates me. I am a spark of that divine. I am a part of God, expressing as a human being. I am creation realized. And now God gets to experience this amazing playground through me. When we think about this in terms of things like Adam and Eve or context within the religious community, within the Bible, all those things, I kind of believe that, I don't kind of believe, I kind of have the experience that it's that the thing about free will that we misunderstand is that we came to this place, we came to this world connected. We came as a spark of the divine. We are an aspect of God manifests. Free will gives us the ability to disregard that. Free will gives us the ability to say, this world is better than that world because I don't know that world, but this one here, I can taste it and touch it and feel it and eat it and hear it and do all that and fuck it and whatever else I want to do with it, right? And again, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. We're here. But that's why we keep repeating the cycle, because we forget who we are. And so we spend all of these revisiting times, all the times that we come back to this environment, learning, trying to understand what happens in that context. Now, this is my interpretation of this. But for me, it's about the relationship. It's about self-awareness. It's about me understanding this whole complex thing that's here to the best of my ability. I'm really clear that there's a lot I don't know and won't know until I'm not on this planet anymore. But what I can do is continue to focus in self-awareness and focus into a deeper understanding of what is this energetic field? What is all of this that goes on here? How do I have this amazing amalgamation of systems within this physical vessel that work in harmony without my thought? How is it that I have all these magnificent systems in this body that don't require my immediate attention? Well, they do, but you can also go unconscious because the system is designed to support that. The system breaks down a little more easily in unconscious than it does in conscious, but it gives you the option. But I really think that in the end, the idea of free will is that we can separate ourselves from who we are, from the essence of who we are, as much as we want. And we can live in that. The further we pull away, the more miserable we are. The further we pull away, the less life we have. But it's a learning curve. It's a process. So we come into the world where we get indoctrinated into a religious experience, and for many of us, and then that becomes our foundation for understanding who we are. And it's flawed and it's wrong because it's not who we are. But again, we all get the ability, we all have the freedom to explore it in whatever way we want. So self-awareness, finding those ways of becoming more aware of who this is, not who we've been told to be, not who we've been programmed to be, not who the stories tell us we should be, none of that. What they say out here, all of this is just noise. It's what this relationship is that creates this relationship. When I say this relationship, I'm saying to the physical, to this person, Jim, on the planet, connects me to the God experience of who I am in ultimate reality. So why is this important? Well, because I want us to build a relationship with God that is inclusive, that is no separation, that is us together. Because what happens in that relationship is I'm still human. I still do dumb things. I still make mistakes. I still say things I don't want to say. I still do things that may not be my absolute best. But then in self-awareness, I can stop. I can look at it. I can reflect on it. And then I can offer it up to a greater perspective so that I can begin to understand more deeply how my relationship with God is working, if it's working, and what am I contributing to building the strength of that relationship? Because ultimately, on this planet, I want to experience all of it, but I want to experience from love. I want to experience it from joy. And of course, there are going to be experiences that are not going to be happy and joyful. But again, it's perspective. It's perspective. How you view every circumstance is all based on your perspective. That perspective is all based on your belief systems, your thoughts, your emotions, the things that you continue to run around in here show up out here. So building that relationship with God is about connecting to the greatest part of ourselves. And again, as I said earlier, if you didn't hear this before, there are lots of terms you can use. I like God because it feels familiar to me. It's a familiar love. It is a familiar connection. It is a sense of guidance. It is a sense of clarity that I know this human doesn't have in the same capacity. It grows as I connect and connect and connect. It grows as I open myself to the potential of who I am. But it doesn't make me better. It doesn't make me something above or beyond the guy next door, the guy downstairs, the guy across the street, the guy in the supermarket. It doesn't make it any different because we're all doing this in our own fashion. We're all getting to explore it however the hell we want to. That's the free will of this whole thing. So wanting to connect to God and talk about God is about what is my relationship in my self-awareness, and then how am I sharing that self in the world? Because what I know is that my relationship with God does not allow for anything other than love. It doesn't mean my human element and the human aspect of me doesn't have lots of other thoughts, but I get to choose in the end. I can fiddle around and futter around about crap in my life all day long. But in the end, the choices that I make, the things that I step into, the conscious choices that I make are toward love. And in doing that, life unfolds in incredible ways. And I still experience sadness and pain and things, but I can keep them in the context of love because of self-awareness. I can spend time in those energies and begin to evolve them to something else because I can begin to understand, why am I experiencing this? What do I need to know from this? What is causing this separation in me right now? Because that's really what it is. It's the separation from love. Why am I separating from love? I don't know. I need to find out because I'm stuck in my humanness. And when I get stuck in that humanness to the point that I am separating from God, I'm now making judgment. God isn't doing anything. God is just present. God is just love, beaming down shit at you all day long. Here's the love. Here's the space of love. God can hold such a great space of love for me that I can do anything, and still find my way to love. But if I'm acting from love, I'm not going to do anything that's going to create harm. I'm not going to do things that are going to create suffering. I'm not going to do things that are going to hurt people or myself. And I still do occasionally. I don't mean hurting people. I don't try to do that. And actually, I make it my mission to always bring love. But I'm still a human. There is that kind of dichotomy, right? I am striving in my world to build that alignment continuously, to strengthen that alignment to love, because the joy there and the fulfillment and the satisfaction there is tremendous. Tremendous. So that is the importance in my mind of self-awareness in this process. So context is everything. And I said this earlier on, but I'm going to take this a step further. So what do I mean by that? Well, I hear regularly, and I said this on my show the other day, and I said it in the notes about this show. I get so irritated when I hear people deflecting their accomplishments, and I hear people deflecting the goodness in their life to some God that's guiding their life to this thing, or that's giving them beneficence because they've changed the road of their life. It drives me nuts, because you are already that. You are that. So when you say, all glory to God, give it to God, I get it, but context is important. If you say that from the position of separation, you're not creating anything. You are not being God. You are being human, pretending that God is over there. You're not being God. And I think you need to be God. That's self-awareness, because that's who you are. Does it mean that you're better? No. Does it mean that you're greater? No. Does it mean that you're happier? Yes. And I don't say that people who have that experience aren't happier too. But there will come a point in the context of that relationship, if you keep it separate, there will come a point where you will have to confront that somewhere, because you, in and of yourself, will not be able to sustain the illusion of the separation. Do you understand that? You will not be able to sustain the illusion of separation, because at some point it will become crashing in on you, the understanding that you are that. So this is why context is so important. If you think in terms of separation, then you are building more separation. Me and him, us and them, whatever, however you want to look at it. If, on the other hand, through self-awareness, you are building a relationship with God, suddenly everything is different, because you are recognizing the God within you and allowing it to flow through you. And you are allowing it to inform your choices. You're allowing it to infiltrate the crazy brain so that you're going above that mass conscious energy. You're going above that densified, crazy energy of separation, and you are connecting to the source of who you are and allowing that to flow through you as cleanly as you possibly can. But the more you do it, the more you connect with it, the greater the experience becomes. And I ultimately think that would be the goal here. Ultimately, it's not to meet God in some heaven somewhere. It's to be God here and have that relationship with God now. Bring the kingdom here. It's here already. You're creating it. Open to that creation. Be active in that creation. There's no sacrilege going on here. There's nothing negative happening, because the only way that relationship will grow is through love. If you do some fucked up thing and hurt somebody or do something stupid, God's forgiveness isn't going to do anything for you if you're separate, because the forgiveness is coming from here. You can't harm things and not feel that. You can't do damage and not be aware of it. You can go unconscious about it, but you can't be unaware. That's not building a relationship. That's enforcing separation. So regardless of the damage you may have done, the biggest hurdle is forgiveness here, is for recognizing, wow, my free will, I exercised my free will so good. I went so far away from God for a while. Wow, that was an incredible journey. But the reason I did it has to do with coming back into relationship, so that you can begin to see how, one, easy it is. Secondly, powerful it is. It doesn't mean that the things that you did didn't happen. It doesn't mean the things that you may have done that didn't serve you still didn't serve you. But ultimately, if your path is to love, if your path is to God, if your path is to that relationship, then you will begin to make choices to support that. And so that's why it makes me crazy when people give their power to God in that fashion, because there is no God there. It doesn't exist there. It's here in your heart. It's here in your connection. It's not outside of you. That's why it's so damaging when you do the separation thing. You're separating from yourself. You're separating from who you are. Of course that's going to feel crappy. Of course that's going to feel damaging. Of course you're going to want to drink and do drugs. Who wouldn't? I mean, the difference is like night and day, because in the separated state, you feel completely abandoned and alone. In relationship, that's not true. I can honestly say to you that in all of the experiences I've had, from AIDS to cancer to parasites to divorce to all of it, I never felt alone in it, because I've always felt this connected relationship. And while I may not comprehend immediately what's going on, like the physical stuff that's happening and why I'm unfolding it this way, what I do know is that in self-awareness and in relationship with God, I then evolve my understanding of what I'm doing and why. Because ultimately it comes down to sabotage, it comes down to unworthiness, it comes down to not enoughness. All of that is driven by original sin. Quote, original sin. Original sin is simply separating God and me. That's the original sin. God's over here and I'm over here. No. No. Bring them back together. All you got to do is just start walking it together. And I promise you, there will be no thunderbolt to strike you dead. There will be no condemnation from on high. There will be nothing but joyous, joyous experience at that reunion, at that relationship, at that joy, because you give yourself to, you release the confines of the mind and judgment, which is all human and separation based. And when you stop judging yourself, and when you stop condemning yourself, and when you stop being in fear of yourself, life changes, and it changes dramatically. And that dramatic change becomes almost mind-blowing, and you almost don't know what to do with it, because there's so much goodness. But that's because that's you. You are all of that goodness. You are all of that goodness. You're finally letting it in. You finally got beyond the entrapment of the human experience, the negative part of that, in separation, and brought the two worlds together and decided to stop fighting with yourself. So now the real healing begins, because in that space, you can begin to understand the choices that you made. You can begin to see the unfolding of the unworthiness. You begin to see the relationships early in your life that molded that experience, that brought you to the point of separation. You could have been brought into you could have come into an experience in your family that was already separate. You were brought into separation so that you could learn the difference between separation and relationship. Context is everything. If you are making choices based on God out there, your choices will ultimately not support you, ever. And I say that clearly and cleanly. They will not and cannot continually support you because they're held up by nothing. They're held up by the illusion of this physical environment, which is not where we come from. So I know that's a lot. I know I'm hopefully, as I had hoped to do, kind of going layer by layer here to bring an awareness and a clarity to this so that you can begin to consider it. I want to take a second here because I have some time, and I want to read you an excerpt from the book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, www.fearisachoice.com. Quick commercial. This stuff amuses me. From chapter 3, Exploring an Understanding of God. The question, what is your relationship with God, conjures a multitude of thoughts, answers, and reactions from most people, and that's good. I believe that our answers to this question express the core beliefs that govern our lives. That may seem like a pretty bold statement, but if you think about it, every aspect of your operating belief system has its foundation in your answer to this question. That question is, what is my relationship with God? Before we talk about how and why, however, let's clear up something so this exercise in self-reflection doesn't get derailed by confusion and misunderstanding. First and foremost, what is your relationship with God is not a religious question. In fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with organized religion. The question may stimulate all of your religious concepts and beliefs, but the question itself is not religiously motivated. To understand how this is possible, let's look at what religion actually is. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, religion is defined as the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, a particular system of faith and worship. In other words, organized religion is the structured framework we use to express our version of spirituality. Virtually all organized religions are founded on a core belief that there is an entity greater than us and that we pay homage to and worship that being for our continued well-being. That's part one. The second part of organized religion is the dogma, or the set of principles laid down by an authority that deem them incontrovertibly true. Entire structures have been created to define how worship should be orchestrated in order to gain the attention of the entity that many call God. Throughout history, there have been endless examples of these organizations and how they operate. But the important thing to understand about organized religion is that they are, without any dispute, completely created by man. Completely. If this throws your foundational beliefs into a spiral, remember that I invited you in the introduction to be open to having your beliefs challenged. Remember, too, that the intention of this book is to create awareness that fear is indeed a choice. Yes, but also the components that make that statement true. In the case of religion, there are definitely aspects we must look at objectively to understand how much fear plays a role. In every religion, there are stories, fables, gospels, etc., that were written and rewritten and updated and remitten by man. This is not conjecture. All religions are run by humans, organized by humans, implemented by humans, governed by humans, with their writings translated into text Bibles and holy books by humans. In other words, they are man's interpretation and reinterpretation of ancient events overlaid and mixed together. See, we're all free to look at this however we want to. But what I believe and what I know is that when I came to clarity about my relationship with God, it alters everything, because I am no longer a victim of anything. I no longer feel a sense of separation. I no longer question who I am. But more importantly, it's the love, it's the joy, it's the connection that is most satisfying. So if you take the time to look at what your relationship with God is, you have to drill down, because your initial concept is going to be whatever is at top of mind. So your mind is going to go, relationship with God. Oh, that's easy. I grew up Episcopalian, and this is what I know about God. And you list out all those things that is. Or you had a different bringing up, whatever it is, it's going to go there first, and you have to drill down. You have to drill past that. You may be a deeply spiritual person who, as you ask that question, have a concept about what God is, but make sure that that is in relationship. So drill down into it. Make sure that, where is that belief and idea coming from? Where do you understand it from? Is it experiential, or is it just another book that you read that says, no, God is this way, or this is the way that you're supposed to be, and that's what you adopted because you didn't like the construct of organized religion? You can get there. You're going to get there either way, and you can still maintain separation even if you don't believe in organized religion or you don't want to participate in organized religion. You still do the same thing. You still are building these belief systems. So take the time to drill down into that. Don't accept the first answer. Don't accept the second answer. Don't accept the third answer. Notice them. They are part of the complex of who you are. They are the levels of your learning. They are the levels of your experience that you are peeling back the layers of to get to truth about. And ultimately, truth about is going to be a belief in separation, ultimately. So take your time with that process and let yourself work through it without judgment, because it's not about judgment. It's about connection. It's not about judging any of it. It's about recognizing it and then making the conscious decision to change it. Because as we become more conscious, as we become more connected, life changes. The world opens up, opportunity opens up, experiences open up because we allow it to. Because prior to that, our judgments and our assessment of ourselves and our behavior and what we were doing separated us from the ultimate experience of who we are. When we come back to that experience, when we rejoin those parts of ourselves, we can then begin to heal. So, what is your relationship with God? Ask yourself. See where it takes you. So, as we come close to winding down this experience here about Let's Talk About God, I think the only other thing I want to say in this is just bringing it again back to self-awareness as a starting point. And if you want to differentiate, because if you've read my book or you've been a part of this program for any length of time, you know I talk about capital S self and small s self. Capital S self being the connected self, the self connected to the divine. Small s self is the human element, is the ego. So self-awareness involves both S's, involves both lowercase and uppercase. Because you need to understand what's motivating, what's driving, what beliefs and things are hiding in the subconscious that have happened throughout the course of your life, that are living in the DNA and the generational aspects of who we are, that you don't have conscious awareness of. So again, remember, becoming conscious is literally bringing things from below the conscious threshold to above the conscious threshold, so that you can consciously engage them and choose what works for your experience. Unconsciousness, being unconscious and not being self-aware will not get you connected to God, will not connect your relationship. You can be unconscious and unconnected, and you can pretend that relationship, but because of the separation, it will never come together. It's just the nature of energy. You're pulling yourself in two different directions. Where's the harmony? Where's the love? Where's the connection? There isn't, because you're separated. So begin to walk those pieces of yourself back together again. Just start with the idea that you are God and let it unfold in you so that you can begin to experience it in giving yourself a break, so that you can begin to experience that love in you. You know, it doesn't matter if you had damaged relationship as a kid, if your parents were crap and they didn't give you anything and you had no love and no relationship and it was all garbage. Even in that circumstance, choosing to form a relationship with God in not in separation, but together, can change all of that, because you can begin to see it for what it is and recognize that it wasn't you. When you're in an environment and you come in a pure state of love and you are that being born into this world and you are surrounded by and encased in energies of separation and lack of love, you have no perspective beyond that. So you begin to think you are that. You begin to incorporate that as you, and it never was you to begin with. And that's where the big lie is in all of this for ourselves. We were never that to begin with. We just adopted it because we didn't know any better. And when you build that relationship in self-awareness and then connection to God and allowing that relationship, you see it for what it is. And you can forgive yourself because you didn't do it purposely. You didn't do it to harm yourself. You did it because it was what helped you to survive the environment. And now that you know better, now that you understand more, now that you are involved in the world in a different capacity, you can begin to see it differently and experience it differently. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have this conversation today. Thank you for being here for this conversation today. I am deeply satisfied that God is moving in me as he's moving in you. And I say he, and I don't mean he, it's an energy. But you get used to saying things. Sometimes they come out in he's and she's and it's. But the energy of God, as I understand it, I appreciate that I can share love. I appreciate that I can share love with you. I appreciate that I can share God with you, because we are that. I'm just simply acknowledging the God in you. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing night. Have an amazing weekend. And wherever you can, build that relationship, because it'll change your life forever. Thanks for being part of the show. I look forward to seeing you next time, and have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, guys. Wrong button. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth Livecast. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice: Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, check it out at www.fearisachoicebook.com. Also check out Moments of Truth, a new offering from Adventures in Truth. If you'd like to work with Jim, check out www.thesciencetransformation.com to book a session. Tune in live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and every Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Or look for our new releases and podcasts every Monday. Until next time, be well, and we'll see you again on Adventures in Truth Livecast.